Assalamu alaikum. This video is going to be covering a couple of different things. First, maybe I should give you some background. The title says Venom Fang X, The Jesus Show, and Original Sin. So those three things are going to be intertied into this, and hopefully we'll be able to cover it in the time allotted. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to talk about is something that I came across the other night on the radio. It's called the Jesus Christ Show, and it's a talk radio show. And the host refers to himself as the Holy Host. When he's talking about matters that involve Jesus or Isa, he refers to himself. He does it and refers to himself in the first person. Now, the topic of the show the other night happened to be about original sin, and when the people call in, they also refer to him as Jesus. Okay. Even as a Christian, I knew that this was an extreme form of blasphemy. But that being said, when he was asked a question about original sin, and the way that the caller phrased the question was, how did you escape that? And through his answer, again, he referred to himself in the first person. One of the things that he was talking about with original sin is that within Christianity, there are two different schools of thought. The general consensus is that original sin came from Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden when Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and then gave the fruit to Adam. That was the first sin because it went against what God had instructed them to do, and therefore original sin. Now through this, and this is the Christianity belief, that a person is now born with original sin. They are born with the sin of Adam and Eve. And every person is born with this. So as a newborn, as an infant, you have sinned. You were born with this sin. Now, here's where the schools of thought differ. There's one school of thought that believes that there's original sin, the one that you were born with because Adam and Eve did in fact sin. The other part of this, the other school of thought, is that everyone is born with original sin, but on the level that everyone is born with the propensity to sin. As humans, we will sin. And this is an almost certainty. As humans, at some point in your life, you will sin. And God has given us the power of asking for forgiveness. But that being said, because you were born with propensity of sin, you were born with original sin. Now, where Venom Fang comes into this, he recently, if you've seen his videos, he's recently done this thing where he is, basically he's going to be doing some street missionary work. And he was talking to some people on what appeared to be a college campus, and one of the things that he had brought up was that the wage in the Bible, it says the wage of sin is death. Because we sin, we deserve to die. This is what God has stated for us, that because we sin, we deserve to die, regardless. Now here is where the problems that I had with Christianity come in. And if you've seen my other videos, especially my reverted video, I talk about the fact that I had problems within Christianity, and it made it hard for me to believe. I stayed because I didn't know where to go from there, and I felt that I knew that I needed to be near God. So until I found Islam, I stayed within the Christian church. But this is where some of the problems that I had come from. First, it says that Isa, or Jesus, died on the cross, and this is Christianity, mind you, that Isa, or Jesus, died on the cross to remove our sins, to take away all of our sins, that God has forgiven our sins through the blood of Christ. This is what is said. This is what Sean says over VFX. If you listen to Jesus Freak, he'll also tell you the same thing. Many of them. And you can go and read this. It's there. This is what is said. That our sins have been removed, our sins have been forgiven before we even committed them, because Jesus shed his blood for us. That being said, if Jesus shed his blood for our sins, how are we born with original sin? If he died to remove all of our sins, shouldn't these sins have been removed as well? Again, no answer. Even though, this is the closest answer you will get. Even though Jesus has already paid for our sins, we still have to atone for them. Okay. I'll go with this. Now, if we're born with original sin of Adam and Eve, and we deserve to die because of our sins, first school thought, then that would explain an infant's death. They deserve to die because they were born with original sin. They sinned. They were born. Essentially, this is all I can gather. You sinned because of the fact you were born. So therefore, you were born with that sin. Second school of thought, however, if we're born with the propensity to sin, but we have not yet sinned, we're not born with Adam and Eve's sin, but we're born with the propensity to sin, but yet the wage of death, the wage of sin is death, what sin did this newborn child commit? What sin did it commit that it deserved to die? If the wage of sin is death, it was born with a propensity to sin, it didn't have time to sin, how do you explain that death? The answer for this is God's will. They cannot coincide. You cannot make the equation fit to every situation. Now, here's what Islam has had to say about original sin. And in some Christian schools of thought, this is also stated, but it doesn't negate original sin. They have this with original sin, so I don't know how they can I don't know how they make this work. And this is part of the contradictions that are out there. What Islam has said is that the Son shall not bear the iniquities of the Father, nor shall the Father bear the iniquities of the Son. Any sin that I commit, my daughter does not pay for that sin. If I steal a car, my daughter does not go to jail for that. I do. I have to pay for the crime that I have committed. Just as when the deeds are written in my book, my deeds or my sins are written in my book. They're not written into my daughter's book. And neither are my mother's written in mine. So the Son shall not bear the iniquities of the Father, nor shall the Father bear the iniquities of the Son. If Adam and Eve are the original mother and father of all of humanity, and the Son shall not bear the iniquities of the Father, I do not bear the iniquities of Adam. We are not born with original sin. We have our own sins. And God knows our sins before we've committed them, because they have been written since the beginning of time. But they are our sins. Now, if Christianity would like to use that as a justification for the fact that we're born with original sin, okay, that could almost be believed. God knows the sins you're going to commit throughout your entire lifetime before you commit them, because He created you. Everything was written before you were a thought. But that's not what Christianity says. They say original sin is the original sin created at the beginning of humanity through Adam and Eve.